If you're one of those people who spends the whole day updating the news, watching trade rumors, and trying to guess what the NBA's next big move will be, this video is for you. Because today we are finally going to end the soap opera. Giannis's final decision about the bombastic exchange involving the Golden State Warriors has already been made, and what I'm going to show you here will completely change the way you see the future of the league. If you're tired of half-baked information, a convoluted live stream, and a title that promises one thing and delivers nothing, stay with me until the end, because now you'll understand, step by step, what really happened behind the scenes, what's behind this choice, and what it means for the Warriors, for the Bucks, and for the balance of power in the NBA. Before we get into the heavy behind the scenes of this decision, do the following. Go down here, press like now, and subscribe to the channel, because that's what makes YouTube understand that you want to receive this type of real content, without nonsense and without fake news. Also, activate the notification bell, because in the next few hours, new bombshells could explode about the future of Giannis, the Warriors, and even other stars, and I will bring everything to you, firsthand. Take advantage and comment below what you would do in Giannis's place in this situation, because I really want to know your vision, and I may even use your comment in future videos. Once that's done, let's continue, because now I'm going to show you detail by detail what no one is telling you about this possible historic exchange. Warriors fan, let's calmly talk about something that has probably been going through your head for some time. What, after all, will happen to Jonathan Kuminga and the future of Golden State from now on? It's not new that his name has been circulating in rumors, behind-the-scenes exchanges, divided opinions from analysts, and even debates among fans. And now, with new information appearing, this story is starting to take on a much more serious tone, almost as if we are reaching a turning point. If we look at recent years, Kuminga's trajectory has always been full of expectations. Since he arrived, many people imagined that, over time, he could become a physical, aggressive player, capable of changing games with explosions of energy and impact on both sides of the court. But the reality of this season has been harsher than fans expected. The statistics tell part of this story. Something around 12 points, 6 rebounds, just under 3 assists per game, and a clear feeling that he was unable to make the leap in consistency that many imagined. More than the dry numbers, what bothers us is the context. His three-point shot didn't fit as it should. Infiltrations don't always end well. His finishing near the rim fluctuated too much, and ball losses became a real problem, to the point of placing him among the players with the highest turnover rate in the league. In a team that depends so much on quick reading, intelligent movement, and taking advantage of opportunities, this weighs heavily. And it weighs not only on external perception, but also on the way other franchises evaluate his trade value. This is why many people feel that, instead of moving forward, Kuminga seems to have taken a step back, not because he has unlearned how to play, but because the fit, the role, the moment, and the responsibility have not yet moved in the same direction. But, even with all this, there is one important point. The market for it has not disappeared. On the contrary, there are still teams willing to bet on his potential, believing that, in another environment, with another role, and perhaps with less immediate pressure, he could flourish. On Golden State's side, information is beginning to emerge that the franchise is willing to listen to proposals as soon as he is eligible to be exchanged within the contractual rules. The value of his contract, around $22.5 million, leaves room for larger packages to be assembled, which could include draft picks, young players, and veterans in specific positions. This, at the same time, excites and frustrates the fan, excited by the possibility of important reinforcements, frustrated by the feeling that a raw talent could be leaving without having shown everything he could. Within the league, views on Kuminga are very different. There are those who see a player still in development, who needs time, consistent minutes, and confidence, and there are those who believe that, if he were truly elite, he would have already shown greater consistency. It is this division that makes the entire exchange scenario so complex. It's not just about liking or disliking the player, but trying to predict where he could go and how much it's worth betting on him now. Among the possible destinations, Sacramento appears frequently in conversations. There, a name that begins to emerge as an interesting piece is Maxim Rayon, a young man who has been producing around 8 points and more than 4 rebounds per game, with the rare characteristic of a big man who can open the court with the three-point shot. He's not a star. He's not someone who will single-handedly change the status of the franchise, but he's the type of high-potential player who can grow alongside an already established core like the Warriors, offering shooting, size, and defensive versatility. Meanwhile, another franchise that is heavily involved in these speculations is the Phoenix Suns. Their squad has some pivots and small forwards that can be useful for Golden State, especially in terms of depth in the paint. One name that appears in these discussions is Nick Richards, who, despite limited minutes, shows efficiency attacking close to the basket and protecting the rim. He wouldn't be the type of reinforcement that completely changes the team's level, but he could deliver solid minutes, protect the paint, and give more freedom to the rest of the squad in terms of rotation in the front court, especially alongside players like Quentin Post. But it's when the conversation reaches Nick Claxton from the Brooklyn Nets that things start to take on a more exciting tone. Claxton is exactly the type of center that Golden State's system usually enhances. Great rim protector, good finisher in aerial jumps, capable of running the court, changing markings on the perimeter, and also contributing with passes and reading the game. His average of 14 points, 8 rebounds, and more than 4 assists shows that he is not just a static finisher, is a player who actively participates in the construction of plays. Now, imagine Claxton alongside Stephen Curry and the other guards and wings who know how to find the open man at the right time. The pick and roll takes on another dimension, aerial jumps become more frequent, the attack becomes even more unpredictable, and the defense now has a reliable rim protector that allows for a more aggressive style from the three-point line. An eventual package involving Kuminga for Claxton would significantly change the team's identity in the paint, increasing the ability to contest shots, close down rebounds, and punish defenses that insist on doubling up on Curry away from the ball. At the same time, there is an old acquaintance on Golden State's radar who never completely leaves the conversation, Miles Turner, from the Indiana Pacers. Turner is that modern center profile that every team with title ambitions watches closely. He spaces the court, blocks shots, protects the paint, and also contributes points from outside. In an offense that relies so much on movement, reading, and space for Curry, Thompson, and other creators to work, having a big man who is also a threat on the perimeter is extremely valuable. Even though the general public sometimes doesn't value everything he delivers defensively, those who follow it more closely know that Turner is one of the names that really changes the dynamics of the game there. The combination of stumps, positioning, and ability to float between the perimeter and the box makes it a very interesting piece. Integrating him would require rotation adjustments, minutes, and even style at times, but the potential reward could be very high, especially in playoffs. All of this happens while the Warriors remain competitive in the West, even through seasons with injuries, constant rotation adjustments, and a squad in transition between the champion core and the new pieces. The team is not far from the important areas of the table, and precisely for this reason, the board knows that any movement now could have a direct impact on their ability to fight at the top. It's not total reconstruction, but it's not just pushing with your belly either. It's a delicate compromise, reinforcing the present without completely destroying future possibilities. When we look at all the names mentioned, Maxim Rayon, Nick Richards, Nick Claxton, Miles Turner, we realize that it's not just about which player is better, but which combination makes the most sense with the real needs of the squad. Does the team need rim protection? Of spacing coming from the pivot? From a young man with a high ceiling to develop little by little? From someone ready to decide now? Each answer leads to a different trade direction, and that's what makes the puzzle so complex. Kuminga's situation, then, becomes a symbol of something bigger, the moment of decision for the Golden State Warriors about what kind of team they want to be in the coming years. Continue insisting on internal development, believing that it can still explode, or accept it as a trade piece to bring in someone to solve more urgent gaps. There is no simple answer, and it is precisely this doubt that leaves fans divided between the fear of delivering the wrong player and the anxiety of seeing a more balanced squad this season. While all these scenarios are discussed, another line of rumor appears and raises the level of drama to another level. The convention's RSAs around a historic offer involving Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Golden State Warriors. What began as a shy behind-the-scenes whisper, almost a distant hypothesis, took shape until it became a central theme in analyses, debates, and discussions among fans. The idea of seeing Giannis wearing a Warriors uniform blows any imagination. Comments circulating behind the scenes speak of a gigantic proposal, described by some as one of the most impressive ever put on the table in the league's history. There is no official confirmation, no clear statement, nothing that could be called an announcement. But reports point to a move in which Golden State would have gone to the limit of its financial and roster flexibility to try to reunite the Greek with Stephen Curry, creating a combination that would change the NBA's power map. According to people close to the situation, Giannis has already made what is being called a final decision. This type of expression, in itself, is enough to cause a stir among fans, managers, and analysts. There is talk of long-term security, a historic financial package, a level of influence within the organization rarely seen. All of this, however, was surrounded by official silence and many conversations behind closed doors. On the Warriors' side, the reading is that the franchise would be willing to completely redefine its identity to build a new era around Giannis. It wouldn't just be adding a star. It would allow the team to reorganize itself around a player capable of physically dominating entire games, of imposing presence on the court both offensively and defensively, and of opening up a range of tactical possibilities in conjunction with Curry. It is no exaggeration to say that the mere possibility of this transfer causes a kind of emotional earthquake. Fans are torn between absolute excitement and fear of losing beloved members of the cast. Analysts try to calculate the impact of this type of movement in terms of competitiveness, league balance, and even historical narrative. And anyone who has been following the NBA for a long time knows when such persistent rumors emerge, even if some of them never come to fruition, it indicates that something big is being tested, discussed, and evaluated behind the scenes. While no one comes forward to definitively confirm or deny, what we have is a scenario of constant noise. News, leaks, sources, opinions, all fueling an atmosphere of expectation. The idea of a super team with Curry and Giannis together is enough to spark debates about dominance, competitive balance, and even possible changes in rival defenses to deal with this type of duo. And, at the same time, it raises the question, what would be the price to pay in terms of roster, picks, youth, and flexibility? For those who follow the Warriors closely, the feeling is that they are living at a crossroads moment. On the one hand, there is a clear need to adjust the squad, reinforce the squad, find a balance between experience and youth, and deal with Kuminga's situation. On the other, there is the possibility, although shrouded in mystery, of a move so bold that it could immediately take the team to another level. In both cases, the decisions made now will have a profound impact, not only this season, but for years to come. What can be said, looking at all this, is that Golden State is not standing still. The board analyzes scenarios, compares options, weighs risks, and tries to find the ideal point between competing now and not completely compromising the future. For fans, this is a period of expectation, of following every piece of news, every rumor, every update, with that feeling that, at any moment, a notification on your cell phone could announce a change that changes everything we know about the team today. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain. Jonathan Kuminga's name and the rumors involving players like Claxton, Turner, and even Giannis do not arise by chance. They reveal that the Warriors are at a point where they can no longer escape big decisions. And that's precisely what makes this chapter so intense for those who live the team day after day. So, in the end, it all comes down to this. Either the Warriors have the courage to make big decisions now, or they run the risk of seeing this golden window slowly close without realizing it. Kaminga, possible exchanges for a center that changes the level of the paint. Giant rumors involving names like Giannis. None of this is small. We are talking about the type of movement that alters the legacy, changes the history of the franchise, and can decide whether this team will just compete or become feared throughout the league again. If you've come this far, it's because you really live the Golden State Warriors. You feel every rumor as if it were a playoff game, and you want to understand what's behind each decision. And that's why I don't want you stop here. Once this video ends, go straight to the Golden State Warriors News Today playlist, which is in the pinned comment. There you will find a complete sequence of videos, analyses, and behind the scenes to follow, step by step, each update, each serious speculation, and each concrete movement of the franchise. Don't waste time jumping from channel to channel looking for loose information. Click on the Golden State Warriors News Today playlist in the pinned comment, binge the content, and always stay one step ahead, understanding not only what is happening, but what could happen with the future of the Warriors.